Hi guys and welcome to the Redirect podcast. I am your host, Maroxide. I am joined here by the Scottish psychopath, Mr. DeWeirdo.
Oh!
And the man from America who knows more about Japan than I ever will, Kyo Rio Hunter.
Hey, what's going on?
So guys, today we're going to talk about all things gaming. We're going to talk about bits in the news, but our main topic of today is actually the Resident Evil franchise. We'll get around to that in a bit. But first off, guys, what have you been playing? We'll start with the weirdo. What have you been playing recently?
Bunch of stuff recently. I was doing some Dead by Daylight last night, which is was actually good fun. For a change. Other than that, I've been doing a bunch of Dark Souls, and I'm about to start a blind playthrough of Final Fantasy VII on Monday. So yeah,
You've never played Final Fantasy VII?
I've never played Final Fantasy VII.
Oh my god! Okay.
I know that's everybody's reaction, so that's why I've decided now's the time.
And Kyo, you're the man for all things retro. What have you been playing lately?
God, I've been actually sitting here trying to remember what I played this week. I played Alone in the Dark. What did I play after that? Oh, Alone in the Dark, Dino Crisis 3. How could I forget that game? And then I was playing some game called Extermination. I have been putting that game off forever. Dino Crisis 3 has eluded me for months, and I wish it still did. I wish it still had.
So you've got no love for the game you love, is what you're saying?
I love the series, don't love the game.
Fair enough. So, yeah, guys, we're going to talk about all things Redirect, all things news. If you have anything you just wanted to ask us or anything, put it in the comments on the Twitch channel, and we'll get around to it by the end. But first off, we're going to talk a bit of news. And the first topic of the show is the new Kingdom Hearts bundle that they're making, where they have all the games in one now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Kingdom Hearts 1 and all the expansions, 2 and all the expansions, and then they don't include the Remind DLC for 3.
No, they don't.
I don't think this is a good move, because Kingdom Hearts 3, the price of the actual standard game has plummeted. So I don't see them not including the DLC and maybe even putting a bigger price on it. I don't know. I'll see how you guys feel about it.
I'll go ahead and start at least. I mean, at least in the United States, the bundle's only $50 compared to, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is still maybe 30 or 40 for us. And then that the story so far, I think, is also about $40. So if they combine that and the DLC, they'd probably be actually looking around the 110, and no one would buy that here, at least. And with the DLC just having come out, I can't imagine them almost giving it away for free in a way with all those other games, because it's too recent after release. They should have waited a while to even make this collection, and then just included it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It's I think it's one of those things. Obviously people love the games, but people would have bought the 1 and 2 games together, and then they would have bought 3 as a separate identity. To put them all together and not include the DLC, that's the only thing that people will be waiting on. I think it's a bad move for Square. And I'll get to Weirdo's opinion on it just from a marketing point of view, because he's actually never played the Kingdom Hearts games.
How dare you?
I know, right? I know. I was too busy playing Resident Evil for the 400th time. I missed a lot of games. Yeah, Kingdom. I say I never played it. I did play the first one back when it first came out, but I never sunk a decent amount of time on it. It was actually my brother that had it, and I fired it up a couple of times, played it, but never really sunk the time in to finish it. Not that I didn't enjoy what I played. It was just kind of one of those things I just never went back to it for whatever reason. Yeah, it seems strange to do all-in-one edition. Did you say the DLC wasn't included?
It's not included.
Yeah, everything bar the new DLC isn't included. I think it's very odd. Why pay $50 for everything bar that, when you could probably put it all together as one and put maybe a $65 price tag on it?
Exactly. And then, especially if you're calling it the all-in-one edition, well, it's not all-in-one then, is it? If there's something missing from it. That's the way I see it. It seems.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's one of those things that I honestly don't think it's a good move from Square. They have a big year ahead of them this year, especially with Final Fantasy VII Remake and the Avengers title coming out as well. So I don't know. Obviously they're going to take the foot off the pedal when it comes to Kingdom Hearts, but this, I don't know. Marketing wise, I don't see it as a good move. So also in news, we have EA has raised some of the prices on Steam of its classic titles. For example, Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition is now £25 instead of 20, and the big one is SimCity 4 Deluxe Edition, which is 16 years old, and it's gone from £8, no, £9 to £18. It's doubled in price in the last week. I don't know. Like, is it because from my perspective, it looks like EA are raising their prices because they want people to move from Steam to Origin to buy their classics. I don't see it as a good thing because like, they make money off it one way or the other through Steam. So I don't know. Let's get your own guys' opinion on that as well.
Didn't they just recently add more games from Origin back to Steam or something like that? Thought I recalled them like having more of a connection with like having things on Steam, and now it's just them raising the prices. Them kind of makes it irrelevant
It's
because
kind of null and void.
like already Origin's not really the best service to use. I mean, I've gotten my account hacked several times and had to like call someone to get mine fixed. So no one wants to use their service and they won't fix it. So now they're trying to force people over to it, and it isn't really a good service anyway.
Yeah, I remember the first time I had to use Origin. It was for Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO that they made, and go through that service. It just seems a lot slower and a lot more like just like it feels like a task every time you want to play a game, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my password never works on that one too. So like, I never even log in. It logs me out every time, even though I put it to remind and auto sign in, and it never remembers my password. I think I reset my password every month, which isn't bad, but I mean, I don't ever use it then.
I think I have the same issue, but I think it's because I very, very rarely use it. So when I open up, it's like, oh, you've missed these updates. Now we need to update. And I think that's probably why it never remembers my password. And then, yeah, but I'm the same as Keo. I've had my account like emails saying, "Did you just try and change your password?" And I'm like, well, no, I don't feel like it's secure at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly think that it's an odd move to bring your prices up, like for classics games, especially one that's like 16 years old, to double the price of it. I understand that they're in the process of making a new Sims game and stuff like that. Maybe they're doing it to cut costs on that or something. But it's such an odd thing to do, just raise prices on classic games. Or maybe honestly their classic games are selling a lot, and they're like, well, maybe we can profit on this. But it just seems really weird to do it on Steam of all things.
Again, it just seems like a bad move to me because it's like it's going to put people off buying it if they know the price has gone up on it. They think, well, fine, I just won't buy it. Then that's the way I would see it. Like, I'm more likely to buy it, obviously, if it's a little bit cheaper, especially SimCity 4, 16-year-old game. I'm not paying nearly 20 quid for a 16-year-old.
Yeah. It's not that I probably have like a DRM free version of it or something from like a website or something that's somewhere that cost me like £2 anyway.
Yeah,
people probably wouldn't buy them to begin with.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I don't get, like, if anything, you should be putting these things on sale. Like, maybe they're raising their prices now so it looks like a sale when they go back down to their original price when they release a new title, like on site Sims 5 or something. But I just think it's really odd.
It's a very EA move to do.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus. So we're getting a new Crash Bandicoot game.
Is it a real game?
No.
We're
getting a new Crash Bandicoot game, guys, but it is definitely not what we expected at all, especially after the success of the remastered games and the new Crash Team Racing. We're actually getting a mobile runner game where you have to swipe left and right and pick up Wumpa fruits and go through crates and stuff.
They're still making runner games in 2020. Like,
yeah,
what was that big one called that people played? Temple Run?
Temple Run, yeah.
Is that still even a thing? Like, I haven't heard of an auto runner game in about 2 years.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I just think it's such an odd move. Obviously, it's more like, people are playing Crash Bandicoot more often than. But doesn't Mario already have one of these?
Mario Run does have one, and it's about 2 years old, and it's a premium one too. It's actually cost about $10 to buy that one, and no one plays it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Mario did it, and they've seen the results of this. I don't get why Naughty Dog and Sony would go down the same route. Like,
yeah, it seems very odd.
Well, wait, is it coming from Naughty Dog? Because Activision owns the
it's an
license.
Activision, yeah.
Oh, that's
Activision.
right.
Sorry, it is. It's
They
Activision
passed
that are doing it.
Because
they
that
have the
makes more
rights for it
sense
now,
that it would come from Activision.
Yeah, sorry. I always associate Crash Bandicoot with Naughty Dog. But yeah, I just think it's an odd move unless they're like, if you can use that app and link it with your accounts on, I don't know, the PlayStation or the Xbox or whatever to unlock special things in whatever new Crash Bandicoot games they have coming out, where they would link them up together. Then it has a value and a place in the market. But just to put an auto runner, it doesn't seem to be a thing that personally I wouldn't want it anyway. I think it lessens the value of the franchise.
See, the purpose of games like this are really just to make you aware of the bigger games that are out. So I'm surprised it's not being announced alongside another main game or another big game coming out, or like a remaster of, I don't know, they did the original trilogy, then they did
Twinsanity or something like that.
Yeah, like if they're like, oh, the second set of games that came out, it's alongside that would make more sense, but it's just a standalone.
Yeah, it seems to just be something that it's obviously something that they've been working on for a while, but I'd hate to be part of that board meeting. Like, guys, what are we going to do next for Crash? What are we going to do that's fresh? And someone just goes, a runner game. And they're like, oh, brilliant idea.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Especially after the success and how well the remaster was, done. It's...
Now,
and especially after the whole Diablo thing, knowing the reaction and backlash towards, Diablo Immortal. Now, I know we're getting Diablo 4 now, but, that caused a whole big controversy of releasing a mobile game for that. So go down that route, kind of.
The only thing I want to see in this Crash Bandicoot game is when you get the unlockables and there's cosmetics, I want Crash in a tutu.
So are there unlockables and stuff, or is it a gacha game?
I'm not sure at all. I haven't. There's not much other than the fact that this is what it's going to be out there at the moment, and
it's gonna have to be a gacha game if you're gonna get people slightly interested. But then again, if it's a gacha auto runner, that's the most boring sounding game ever.
I love the special stage in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where you have to run around the loop and get the rings and stuff. That's quite original. If they were to do that as a standalone Sonic thing for a mobile, I'd be like, yeah, I can understand that. That's something people have nostalgia from back in the 90s and stuff. But a runner that's just a 3-lane runner, you collect things, you jump over things. It's been done. I think it's time that we give up on that kind of stuff. Last but not least for news, guys, Valve are building a new system that auto-mutes abusive players in CSGO.
Can we get this for DBD as well?
That's what I'm saying. It's a really interesting idea. I don't know how it'll be measured or monitored.
How does that work?
That's what I'm saying. Is there going to be trigger words that would set this off, that would block the person, or would it be their trigger words that set block people off, or they send out a group message to all the other people so they can block that person off? How it works, I'm not. There's no details on it yet, but it is just something that they are working on, and it could be amazing for all kind of online games because there's a lot of toxicity out there.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering if they would have to make it, because that's going to be because if it's listening to certain trigger words or listening for slurs, vulgar words, something like that, people are going to get baited in the same weird usernames and get auto muted if that's how it's going to work. Because that's kind of how it's worked in the past. People would get banned for saying, reading something out and basically end up saying the N-word by accident because they read a phonetically spelled out other name. And if it listens for that and then just bans based on that, a lot of people are going to kicked out.
I think that the fairest way for that to be implemented would be if a trigger word is mentioned, it would be a pop-up for all your other teammates to suggest to mute or whatever. And I think that would be the safest way of going about it without it, triggering the audience and having lots of problems along the way. But I can see the value in it as well, across the board. There's so many games that need something like this. And, when you're concentrating on a game, instead of having to manually tab out or tab up something to mute somebody, just to have a button you press to vote on it. And that would be something that I feel it would be greatly needed. I don't know how it would translate across from CSGO to Call of Duty or to other platforms or other consoles. but I'm all for it. I'm all for that kind of stuff going forward.
Honestly, the easiest way to like solve the problem though is just to not have voice chat on, because why would you have public voice chat on anymore?
I never do. It's the first thing I turn off if it's in a game I'm playing. The first thing I'll do is go and just mute everybody.
Yeah, I just always have mine off by default. Like, if there's one thing Nintendo has done well, like especially with Splatoon, is there's no voice chat, so you can't hear a bunch of other toxic people. You got like 2 shout-outs you can say, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
No, like I don't mind, like especially with games like CS:GO that are so tactical, or shooters and stuff like that. I know you guys don't base a lot of your games around that, but like the likes of CS:GO or League of Legends or something where everything's very tactical, and you need that extra bit of communication instead of typing. I think it's invaluable to those kind of games. Like it would be brilliant. Like I remember years ago, I'm a nerd. World of Warcraft used to have a built-in voice chat. I think it still does, but like even to implement it on something like that, for like battlegrounds where you're thrown into like a group of all these other people, and if a trigger word is said, it comes up as a prompt. I think for something like that, it's invaluable across the board, and it definitely protects more people than it harms.
Mm.
Yeah, but that's it for news. Really, that's all we have for the small news section. We're going to move on to our main topic of the actual podcast today, which is actually Resident Evil, and we all love Resident Evil, and I'm personally a big fan of the remake of 2, but Kyo's not. Let's not head into that.
Let's
But
just
today
leave
we're
it
here.
at that.
We're here to talk about a couple of different things. We'll probably start with Resident Evil 3 and the trailers that have come out recently, and how we just generally feel about the game. I'll throw it out there to Kyo first.
Based on the first trailer, I actually was kind of excited because it started out in first person, and I thought they were going to actually make a bold move and change up the perspective and things. And then it zoomed out, and it looks more or less like RE2 Remake, but with a fresh coat of paint, like with the new skin of like Jill and Nemi and stuff like that. I'm not really too excited for it because it's going to be kind of like, I guess, back in the 90s, where if you played 2, then you saw 3 and you noticed it wasn't too different. Like, I'm sure there had to be some people in the fan base that saw it and like, this is the same thing we already had. So why are we having this again, type of thing for me? Like, if they would change that up a little bit, like it's just going to be 2 remake with a dodge mechanic in it and a hopefully upgraded version of Mr. X, and not just a guy that walks towards you and shoots a gun.
That's going to be the big point for me. Is Nemesis needs to be the threat he was in the original game. Like, he needs to sprint, he needs to be relentless and chase after you. If he's just Mr. X stalking you the whole time, stomp, 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 then it's going to flop for me. But I've got my fingers crossed that he's going to be more aggressive than Mr. X was.
I'm definitely more optimistic about this than the 2E, because like I'm liking the new aspects that they've added to it, like the new weapons that they're giving Mr. X. He has a flamethrower now and stuff as well. I think that the new character models, and there's going to be more branching stories and stuff like that, that all fits in with the game. I honestly, like, I would like to see obviously more of like Carlos on his side of the story, and maybe have some overlapping things with 2, because obviously, as we've seen with Resident Evil 2, they added the Jill's letter thing. I would like to see maybe some stuff left behind, or like by Chris, or maybe a hint of like Leon being around, or something, like, because like technically these stories take place at the same time. So I would like to see more of a crossover between them. And that, I think that would provide more of a familiarity feel to fans. I think it would bridge the gap between the 2 games, because there's so many issues about the timelines between these 2 games that if they can get that right and fix that between the 2 of them, it could be game of the year. Like I'm not going to mess around.
That is something I hope the remake addresses, because the original games, like 3 is supposed to take place before and then after 2. Yeah. And in 3, the like RPD is in worse shape than it is in 2. And that's just because they didn't want people to go in those areas and kind of reopen them up. So like, it's kind of, they need to address that for sure, because why is the RPD in such a terrible state in that, but then 2 you can run everywhere?
Well, one thing they said on Twitter is that one sort of feel they wanted to get from the remake of 3 is that, at least in the beginning, it's more of the Outbreak part of it. So the city and presumably the RPD is going to be in better shape. That's why a lot of the screenshots you'll see, a lot of the storefronts still have the bright lights on and all that kind of stuff, and there's still, there's still civilians running around everywhere. They're wanting to go for a feel of, okay, this is early on in the Outbreak, so things aren't as messed up as they are in RE2. So going on that, I hope that they're going to have a.
So taking, like, we'll talk about some of the main points of the game that we remember. Let's talk about Nemesis in general. Like, so do we think, like, I know we want that feel, but how do we feel about the original leaked pictures and leaks on the videos and stuff? How do we feel about how Nemesis looks now in comparison to how he was in the original?
I mean, it's a remake, so everything's going to have its own look, in my opinion. I'm fine with the changes. I think Carlos looks a little. He's the one that, for me, I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I like the way he looks too much. But I mean, at the end of the day, as long as it's a good game, I don't care if Nemesis has a nose. Yeah, I'd rather have a good RE3 where Nemesis has a nose, but then the bad RE3 where he doesn't. I just think they're kind of minor details overall. But I think he looks good.
Yeah, I've been in the same boat. Kyo?
I don't like his design. I think the teeth are stupid. The big piano key teeth.
Yeah,
like
I agree with that.
whether or not the nose, I honestly didn't notice that too much. It's more of just like the teeth look really stupid. Like, it just, like, this guy looks like he ate a piano and is chasing you down, and I'm supposed to take this seriously.
I can't unsee it now.
Did you not notice it? Because his teeth are like, they're really long and they're just like really like skinny and they're just piano keys.
I kind of thought
This
they
is
looked
the
a
big
bit like
monster.
French fries as well.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
I can't unsee it now, damn it. But I think, like, I was more concentrated on what the actual, like, the bigger controversy about, like, his scarring and his nose and stuff like that. I think I concentrated more on that as we were getting, like, the trailers and the announcements and stuff. I honestly, I think the flamethrower and stuff is such an interesting addition to him.
Because they added that to his arsenal because was it a non-canon game where he had a flamethrower or something like that? And I know people are upset about it, but it's like, I don't mind him having more weapons. Like,
yeah, 100%. More diversity, a new way to try to get around him.
it's because they were giving him weaponry that was in Resident Evil Apocalypse. They're like, he had that in the movie. He shouldn't have that. Like, just let him have more guns. Like, do you want to be more worried or less worried about him?
I mean,
Exactly.
I don't see a flamethrower being any less ridiculous than a rocket launcher, to be fair. So,
I mean, he's a gigantic monster chasing you around with a gun anyway. So, like, does it matter?
Yeah, I honestly think that, like, the game has so much potential to add so much more levels to, like, the intensity of it. Like, the different weapons, like, you don't know if he's going to show up with a rocket launcher, a flamethrower, if he's just going to come out with a tentacle and absolutely break you up and throw you around. I feel like the diversity that he has and the new levels will bring out something new in the game, and probably cause speedrunners and stuff a lot of different problems, especially if those things specifically are RNG based.
Mm-hmm.
Because you won't be able to plan what you're going to get when, unless, like, but also, like, the big thing for me, one of the best things I think about all this was when they actually did the first trailer for Nemesis, and they announced it as actually an update on Resistance, and it was the RE3 trailer. That really got me. I remember, like, I think we actually filmed the reactions for that. And but what are your guys' feelings on Resistance? Is this something you're going to try out? Is it something that we're all going to get together and, get dominated in?
I was lucky to get involved in the beta for it, the closed beta. I did enjoy what I played. It's got it showed a lot of potential. I mean, yeah, it got boring fast, but that's because there was only one map and one type of mastermind, and it was just a beta. But if they kind of expand on that, like it looks like they are, I think it's something that I could have.
Didn't they recently announce the Annette and William Birkin combo?
Yep. Apparently that was leaked kind of shortly after the beta as well. Someone found it. I think that there's also been teasers of Jill being a part of it. A lot of stuff going around on the social media just now, on like the Resident Evil Twitter and stuff, of screenshots of like the the board where it shows like and the Project Resistance, it would show the board and it would have the mastermind and what he was good at and what their skills were. And it looks like they're starting to sort of hint at other characters for that on Twitter quite often.
Yeah, I think recently that the Birkin team was actually confirmed, and there is screenshots of it and stuff now. So
I mean, there's so much they can expand on with it,
Yeah, if they're going to put Nemesis in, who did they put in as the mastermind?
That's a good question. Obviously, yeah, well, Annette Birkin's going to be William Birkin, right? Nemesis, who would it?
Would it be Nikolai?
Isn't that what was suggested? No RC. Yeah, I think that was sort of hinted at. No,
like they have to include Wesker. What will he control?
I mean,
The original Tyrant.
I would say the Tyrant. Yeah, it would have to be Tyrant.
So is this a canon game or is it considered non-canon? Or is it like Outbreak where certain parts are canon and certain parts are not?
No, it's more like it's like a multiplayer basically.
Well, I know that, but they say there's a story mode to it.
It's confirmed no canon.
No canon. Okay, that's what I was wondering because like, are they gonna like? Is it gonna be strapped down by well, Birkin was already dead here, so like Annette's here, but it's actually like they're both dead, but it's like Shadow Annette or something, or like I don't know, Carla Ada or something like that for things. So I was wondering like where could they go? Like, is it gonna be really strapped down? Like, can only be things that happened during like the first initial outbreak and those characters that were around before, or will they like add DLC of like I don't know? They could even add Sadler and I don't know, like El Gigante or something like that later on down the line if they really wanted to.
Yeah, we could have Jack Baker in there as well.
Give me Jack Baker. I actually would like that. Jack Baker is
cool.
my favorite character in the series, I think, at this point.
Because that would be like Evelyn, I guess, right? Would be the mastermind, and then Jack Baker and Marguerite could be.
Now that would be cool.
I think I can't wait to see like the community side to this, like when it goes up on Steam and they add like extra things to it and the creativity to it. Where they're like skin over models and we'll get like mad stuff involved.
Have they announced workshop support for it? Because this would be a game. Because like looking at it, it's kind of like a Left 4 Dead or Dead by Daylight. So like workshop support should be a no-brainer, but it's Capcom, so they also like money.
Yeah.
Well, Dead by Daylight doesn't have workshop support, so I guess it's how much they're going to base it on what they want. I guess what they're going to want microtransaction wise, like, are you going to buy skins? Because no one's going to buy skins if you can just make them in the workshop or whatever. I think that's what stopped Dead by Daylight from doing it, is because that's where they make a lot of their money is on different skins. Which is actually funny, because a lot of people would always say with Dead by Daylight, oh, when are we getting a Resident Evil crossover? When is Nemesis going to come into it? And it makes me wonder if they tried and Capcom said no because they had this in the pipeline.
Yeah, that's a fair opinion, to be fair. Like Capcom don't really like giving away assets.
I mean, the only crossover I can think of that they've done recently is they did the RE2 Remake crossover with PUBG, and then they did one with Monster Hunter, but one of those is their own franchise, and then the other one is a completely different genre of something that they don't make. They don't have like a battle
competitor. Yeah, it's not a competitor in their market at all. With that said, like we're going to go through like other things here as well. We've got the Resident Evil 2 remake, we've got Resident Evil 1, we've got 3 coming. Would we like to see a Code Veronica X remake?
No.
I don't know. I think the thing about Code Veronica X is Code Veronica is my second favorite Resident Evil game after the original RE2. And it's just got a certain feel that's borderline ridiculous at times.
It's the campiest game.
Alfred, exactly. It really is. And with the more serious tone they're going with now, I would worry too much about it losing that feel. I would be more happy if they did a port of, like a HD version to Steam and current gen. I mean, I know you can get it on PS4 now, which is great, but if they ported that to PC, just that HD version, I'd be really happy with that.
And that version is really just an upscaled PS2 version. So if they did like a like an RE remake style,
skin over kind of.
Yeah, kind of like just like
even if
they're just reskinning it.
Yeah, remaster rather than remake, because I mean, you can't remaster a PS1 game because if you slap better texture on a PS1 game, it's going to look awful. But from sort of PS2 onwards, you can get away with reskinning and remastering stuff and just
changing the
making it
resolution
look
and
a bit
stuff.
nicer. Yeah, making it 1080p or whatever, 4K. And then if they bring it to PC, that just opens up modders to be able to go in and do these things as well. So I'd much rather they went down that road than do a full blown remake.
The only reason I don't see a remake of it coming is just because the game is so long.
Mm-hmm. That too. They would have to cut it down a lot. Like that game could be cut down in certain places, or like split up the Claire and Chris parts a little bit more, because you kind of go through the same areas with Chris that you did with Claire, but it's not as fun with him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of the stuff with Chris is where a lot more of the campy stuff happens. So I don't know. I don't think they could do it justice.
I think there's a lot of suspense they could put into it with like the Ashford family and stuff like that. I think that there could be literally like super, like it would be a different kind of route for them to go down because of the characters' personalities and stuff. And also one big thing is I really want to see like a proper new full HD scale Wesker. I want to see what that looks like.
Well, we have 5.
It's the closest we have is like 5 and the remasters of 0.
We don't talk about 5.
5 has the best Wesker in it, though.
Yeah, for all its flaws, 5 does have the best Wesker. Yeah,
like you have to sit there all the game until you get to like the part where it's good, where you're fighting Wesker. But like that part there, like makes that game worth going through. If you just remember that that's the light at the end of the tunnel, is you get to do that whole ridiculous boss fight section with him.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think I think that game's story is lacking in the long run as well. I think if they were to tidy it up and put everything together so that it flowed better, I honestly think like I like the game as a standalone as it is, but I think if they were to tidy it up and put everything together and generally give you a better feel for it, I think Code Veronica X would be a nice one to go down. I also hate what's your man's name? Steve. I fucking hate him.
Oh, I love
There's
Steve.
nothing wrong with Steve.
I hate Steve.
He's 17 and acts like a 17-year-old kid, and actually is the only like realistic seeming character in the series because of that, and everyone hates him for it.
I fucking love Steve. Steve was hilarious. I thought he gave me so much entertainment.
The worst sound clip of all time. Father!
With his father guns, leave him alone.
I hate him so much.
He's the only one that acts his age. Like, how else? What do you want a 17-year-old like nerdy guy who's trying to press a girl to act like? How do you want him to act? And he's been split up from his family, who's all dead, and like he's just like alone by himself and trying to like survive on an island infested with zombies, surrounded by water. And you're like, oh, why isn't he less annoying? I'd be really annoying.
Another thing I'd like to see, like especially with that game, is like the prison start where you're just going around with the lighter and stuff. Like they could really like, make that feel more terrifying and stuff, because you're like in a prison camp and stuff like that. To go around with a lighter for ages, just get your bearings together and stuff. They could really like make that kind of give it like nearly an RE7 kind of feel, that eeriness. But on the topic of RE7, we've had like some leaks and rumors about RE8, guys.
They're all aren't they all from like 4chan?
They're pretty much nonsense, I think. Yeah,
mad sources across the board.
Yeah.
So there's mad rumors like they think that the game's going to take place in Europe. I've heard.
I mean that's been done before. Code Veronica. The whole intro is them going after Umbrella in Europe, and then obviously Leon's in parts of Europe and RE4, and it's I think they're maybe just thinking they might go that direction again. I don't know. I think
it feels like they're just making good, educated guesses based on things that have already happened, as opposed to, oh, this is what's going on. Like, I think you guys are just really spitballing here.
I think so. I think people are being spun here, but I honestly don't want another RE7, and I think that's what people are expecting to be. They're expecting to be this first-person, really slow-paced era. I love RE7 on its own as an identity. It is a fantastic game. They did everything perfect with it, as good as they could at the time. I don't think copying and pasting that and putting a different surrounding on it will actually help that franchise.
I don't know.
feel
They're
like-
doing it with RE2 to RE3.
I think RE7 was a huge step in the right direction. I think it was really ballsy of Capcom to go, right, we're making Resident Evil first person, and we know everybody's complaining about the action side of things, so let's focus more on the horror. I think RE7 was a huge step in the right direction. It fell apart towards the end for me. But if they can take that same feel and expand on it and tidy it up and make sure the whole get more variety in the enemies for a start. If they can go down that route, I think it'll be a good way.
I really just want it to be first person again. I enjoyed that. I thought that was the most refreshing part of Resident Evil in a long time. Then they went back to basically just like Revelations RE4 camera, and whatever you guys think of that game, I don't feel like complaining about RE2 anymore.
I feel like if they're going to do this first person thing, because of how I want to use linear. I feel like that the storyline was for 7. I feel like you were just on a track and the game was playing around you, kind of thing. I think they should, if they're going to do that, they're going to have to make it a little bit more open and a little bit more survivally feeling. Like I don't know, like you have to do stuff like you're drowning and stuff. Like I feel like it needs more intensity because the game starts really intense for 7, and you kind of get used to it very quickly. I feel.
I mean, one of my favorite things about 7 was that it did strip it back. It was like, I mean, look at Resident Evil 5 and 6. It's like, oh, we're in this whole big open place. 6, you're in America, then you're in China, and then you're in Europe again, and it was just all over the place. I like that 7 stripped it back, and it's like, here you're in this small location where the whole sort of outbreaks thing is contained in this small place. It's tight, dark, dimly lit corridors again where you don't know what's around the corner and all that kind of stuff. I like that they brought it back to that. But again, yeah, I think it maybe just needs to be a little bit more variety in what's going on so that you don't get used to it so quick.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So we've also got like rumors as Ethan as a main character. I don't know how anyone feels about that.
He's boring, but I mean, most Resident Evil characters are boring people.
As long as it's not Leon and Ada, won't they love story?
Man, I want the complete opposite though. Like I feel like it's an even numbered game and it won't have Leon in it. I just feel it's so out of place for me.
If it's got Leon in it, I don't mind, but I don't want Ada in it. I'm so bored of it.
Character for me.
I'm tired of Leon and Ada.
Part of it. Oh yeah,
I'm so tired of those two.
I was so bored of their whole thing through. By the time I was at the end of RE4, I was just like, I'm so fed up with Ada.
But as Bo actually just mentioned in the chat there, Chris is supposed to have a part in it.
I mean, that would be fine because Chris hasn't done anything in a while. Like even he did stuff in 5, but like I'm just tired of Leon and Ada because it's just their whole romance thing is forced. Like they've spent like a grand total of 30 minutes together across the whole series. Yet I'm supposed to believe that they're like madly in love or like some star-crossed lovers or something.
Lovers, yeah, exactly.
I'm so tired of them. They're so boring. Leon's already a boring ass character, and then just
can we ban Marman?
Move on.
I'm with that comment.
We need to ban Marman.
Imagine having such a bad take.
But then we've got some odd like additions. Like we've had leaks that there might be werewolves and ghosts in it. I can understand the ghosty vibes, but the werewolves is just a weird one.
Well, I mean, if it's like they've already had transforming enemies before, like if they're wolf-based like DNA things, like if they're like going for more organic and more like recognizable like enemies, like if you're going with them splicing wolf DNA or something into a human to make like a BOW, that would be less detectable because it looks more like something they're used to be to sneak under the radar.
I don't know why, but like the first thing I thought of when I seen that was like Resident Evil Teen Wolf Edition.
I mean, I don't really care what type of enemies they've done because they've done so many kinds, as long as it's really not just normal dude with a gun like it was in 4, 5, 6, Revelations 2.
I just feel like if it doesn't like I obviously we talked about 7 and how we felt it was a step in the right direction, but I feel like in 7 there's so many times where you just don't feel that intense. Like I think if they're going to do this, you have to feel like you're being hunted constantly, and that, like finding something is very hard to do and stuff like that. Like stuff aren't in an obvious place and stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think it definitely needs more puzzles and stuff as well. Like just to bring up that intensity a bit as well.
Resident Evil hasn't been as puzzle heavy as people always think it has. Like there
Mm.
really haven't been that many, but everyone really seems to think it's been a puzzle heavy series.
No, I think it's because you have to remember them.
If you compare it to like Silent Hill's puzzles, especially on certain difficulties, can take a lot of trying to figure. I mean, isn't there a puzzle in Silent Hill 3 on the hardest difficulty where you need to have a knowledge of Shakespeare and stuff? Like,
yeah.
Or you just don't do.
That's what I'm saying. Like things like that with riddles and stuff like that. Like I think that kind of stuff could really help. Just immerse the player more in that first person kind of experience. And if they're doing it, they have to make it VR for PC as well. This VR exclusivity for PlayStation isn't going to work this time.
Just imagine like heavier puzzles in an RE game and watching speedrunners complain about having to do something more than rotate 2 blocks in an electrical grid.
Just keep taking digs at RE2. Come on.
I mean, no, like just in general for like speedrunners, like they for all the games, they're all like streamlined. So imagine if they actually had to think while doing a puzzle during a speedrun, they'd absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I think it definitely would affect that whole style of thing, and that community wouldn't be the happiest.
Just going back on some of the rumors about enemy types in it, though, again, we were talking about educated guesses and people are talking about ghosts. That's probably because if you see the early concept of RE4, it was based in a castle. It still had like the fixed angles going on, but it was going to have ghosts.
It's like a paranormal activity feel.
It was going to have a paranormal side to it. So that could again just be an educated guess. If you look at 2 of the guesses, it's going to be in Europe and there's going to be ghosts. That's basically just describing what RE4's original concept was. You know what I mean? So there's probably people thinking, they were great ideas, and many people have voiced that they should have expanded on that. So they're maybe just making that guess that maybe can't
have that. We need Slimer and the Ghostbusters. Let's be honest.
I wouldn't mind them going for more paranormal because they already started that in 7 with like the infection making him hallucinate. So I wouldn't have an issue with it coming up. At least it'd be something different. It'd be more than just zombie monster, parasite monster thing.
I prefer to be like like an entrapped kind of feeling where you're in like an umbrella facility, and you are like a failed experiment, but you're still like having hallucinations and stuff from the stuff in your system, and like that being your whole trying to escape thing would be something I'd like to see as for RE8 if it's going to be a first person horror, like heavy horror game. But that's we're nearly finished our main topic today. But last but not least, guys, Resident Evil is getting a Netflix series. And it's supposed to be coming out next year. I'm not sure. No one really knows what it's based about. But what would you like to see it be based around? Would you like to be like completely linear, like take from 0 as a series, then maybe Resident 1, 2, 3? Would you like to see it that way, or would you like to see like just a Resident Evil feel given to a story?
I think it would be the perfect, and I've been saying this for years, even when the movies were still getting made, that a series would be the perfect way to do like a series, a game, or like maybe have Resident Evil 2 and 3 because the timelines are so similar as one series, and maybe Resident Evil 0 is a series, Resident Evil 1 is a series. I think that's a perfect way of doing it. But it doesn't look like that's the way they're going down, sadly.
No, they're going to be starting filming in South Africa in the summer. So it's I feel like because there's such vast areas of green and stuff around there, maybe they are starting with the mansion.
I thought they just announced something for the RE series.
I've got a web page up just now with some information on it.
All I know is that they're planning to start filming in South Africa in the summer. And for me, that kind of signals that there'll be like vast lands of green, trees and stuff like that, which could be that they'd have like a secluded mansion, and they would start with the original series. Now it could be completely different.
A fan site has leaked a synopsis for it, but I don't know. There's no confirmation or denial on it.
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of more in line with what I would want. I don't want them to adapt the games because they're just going to do a bad job of it.
That is a concern. Like if they're going to do that, then obviously I want them to do it right. But yeah, the worry with that is if they do make a mess of it, then it's going to be even worse and probably even more hated than the movie.
Well, we've been promised that it is definitely going to be aimed more towards the games than the original movies.
I mean, the problem with the movies for me was as if the worst people were hating the movies, the next movie would just have, oh, here's Leon Kennedy all of a sudden, and it was kind of like no.
Let's save the series by
really
throwing in the character everyone likes.
Yeah,
they just
exactly.
like ignored what the actual problem was with the movies. Like, oh, so it's just not the characters being. It's like, no. It's a lot deeper. And they're like, okay, got it, Leon. It's like it's Capcom. Oh, there's a problem. Let's just throw Leon in. It will fix it.
Damn right.
Yeah, exactly. And then Barry was in like a couple of scenes at one point as well, and it was just like, no. Like I was all for the movies not copying the games and having their own story running parallel to it, but they just turned into such.
The only thing I require, if they're going to stick to this whole, basing it alongside the games, is we have to have the Jill Sandwich quote.
It would be referenced in there and be like forced probably, but I would rather them do something completely different from the games while keeping the feel. Like if they went like say an RE7 route, not copying, not like doing the RE7 thing, but like a
completely original
story in a location that's probably like contained. So like, if it turns out people don't like it, they can, be like, oh well, this was just something. It's like Gaiden, don't worry about it. But if it turns out good, it could just be more world building stuff. Like just have it in a remote location or like even another city or something happens that's like another Raccoon City type of thing. I just don't want them to go the Walking Dead route. I don't want it to be this serious, terribly overwritten, way too long TV show.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
and that way they could have more freedom to explore new concepts, like look at older things without being bogged down by, oh well, we need a scene where Leon sees Ada and gets his Trapper Keeper type of thing.
So this is kind of coming off the back of the fact that they've just finished the Witcher series, the first season of that. I haven't watched it. I'm not mad into the Witcher, but apparently, like it's supposed to be really good. And off the back of that, I watched the Castlevania series, and that's fantastic on Netflix. If you haven't watched it,
I haven't watched either of them.
What series was that? Sorry,
the Castlevania one.
Oh, the anime. Yeah, that's very very good.
That's
yeah,
very well written and stuff. So if they can bring that right now in say a Resident Evil feel, I feel like.
Well, I mean, look at the animated Resident Evil movies. The first two of them, at least, are actually very good. I wasn't a fan of Vendetta because it started to go the way why I didn't like 4, 5, and 6. Is it just got too ridiculously action heavy? But Vendetta, don't get me wrong, the animation and some of the sequences and stuff are so cool. But
Leon's on a motorcycle most of the movie. He's in an elevator. He's on that motorcycle. He's at dinner. He's on that motorcycle. It's great.
But I definitely think that was those much better than the live action movies. So maybe animated is the way to go.
Honestly, animated stuff's usually better. Like if you look at DC, all their animated things are so much better than any live action thing they put out in the past like decade.
I'm not gonna. I don't know. Contrary to that, if you've watched the Titan series is very very good.
Is it?
It's very dark as well.
At least as far as DC is concerned, like barring that, because I don't know much about it, like their animated stuff tends to be much better than their live action stuff because maybe they're starting to learn what the problem was with their live action things now. But that's always been a huge issue is that they would like overproduce it, try and copy Marvel without having any idea of like what it was that made Marvel interesting for people. And like their animated stuff, they have like so many characters Discord
Hello.
just died.
Hey! Okay, so yeah,
Discord died.
we were always going to have a problem on the first show, weren't we? It just happened to be not our problem for once. So we're gonna move on anyway. We're talking about DC and stuff. It's not relevant to video games and what we were talking about. We're actually going to move on to our community sections where we get your guys' questions and we answer them and we get you involved. And to do that, we have to bring in the fourth man behind the scenes, the guy that is controlling all of the stuff behind the show. It's Malamphy.
As he
And,
flips to you.
Huh?
Like, we bring in the guy who's controlling it, Malamphy, and it's you.
Yeah, it's just me.
Yeah, well, I was waiting for him to actually say something, you know, but anyway. So we have a handful of questions there now at the moment, and the first one, I think this one might be for you, Maroxide. Bo was saying in regards to the EA discussion, you were talking about with the classic titles, like the likes of FIFA 97.
FIFA 97 as a classic. FIFA 97 is actually a game I hold quite dearly, which is quite funny because it's the first game on the PS1 series of FIFA games, and it had indoor football.
Yes, I remember that. Fuck. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And I just feel like it's such a broken game that it's fantastic. That it was literally one that made the series for me as a kid. And then they went on to make FIFA 98 and put that I Get Knocked Down song on as the theme song, and it was terrible.
Right.
Anyway,
fair enough.
Football. I spent
So
hours on that.
there was a bit of a different yeah. What I'll do is I'll stay in voice and I'll discuss this with you guys. Keep it up like this. So the next question was from Bo as well. So in your own opinions, do you guys think that Remake 3 will be the last remake for now? Or for yourselves, like if you had to pick one, what do you think the next one should be?
For me, I think RE3 Remake should be the last remake for Resident Evil. I think they should move on. I'd love to see a Dino Crisis remake after. I think RE3 is the last one that should be
yeah,
same.
I can kind of agree with that, especially with the second comment about them probably bringing like a Dino Crisis remake or even a new Dino Crisis games to the series. I think that the suspense of something like Dino Crisis could really work with their new engine and the new sound effects and stuff that they have, especially because it would bring that feeling that I keep talking about in reference to the RE8 thing, that feeling of being hunted. With a Dino Crisis game, I think would be very, very original, and just the stories from them games in general are quite fun anyway.
I'd like a Dino Crisis remake to include that, like more stealth elements, stuff like that. Like you said, being hunted as opposed to. I don't want it. It shouldn't be an action game. It should be.
exactly.
They need to show more flexibility of the RE engine. So far, we have 2 Resident Evil remakes and Devil May Cry, or 2 Resident Evil remakes, RE7 and Devil May Cry 5. And that's it. Show more
They need to realize with these things that the characters have knees, and you should be able to, like RE2, it could have been a lot more tense with Mr. X stalking around, and you're maybe crouched behind the table somewhere and trying to hide out his way. If they could bring that into like RE3 with Nemesis, like you hear him fucking, you need to hide, you need to hide behind the table, hide under a bed, whatever. Same with Dino Crisis, like if you can see something around, you need that option just to that could make things feel 10 times more tense.
Give me that Jurassic Park feel, like with the kids having to hide in the kitchen.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I want that.
Exactly.
I don't want to like shoot them with a shotgun in the head. Like, if anything, there should be a last resort with like 3 shotgun shells in the whole game.
Yeah, exactly. That whole
I agree.
slow paced. You're hiding people. Like you have to make decisions based on what you have at the time in that game. I feel like that could be really good, and even like at the same time, it'll be good for speedrunning communities and stuff like that because they'll find ways around it. And they'll specifically aim for certain goals as well. Yeah, so I think that's what we would like to see from the RE engine, really.
Cool. So the next question actually comes from Reeves. Don't you all have phones? The Crash game would be good when you need a break from Diablo.
Oh, Reef.
I I just think it's a bit of a cop out to, genuinely say that you're working on something and then it be this. If it was something that they said that it was like a part of like a companion app to run beside a game where you have to do mini games and stuff to unlock stuff for an actual Crash game, then cool. But this is just a standalone runner.
They
that
could still
we've
be
had
working
Mario
on
run.
something.
Yeah, that's it. Like, we won't know until we officially see it. But I would like to have some sort of integration with another game.
E3 is coming up soon, so this could like be their way of just still trying to generate some discussion about it. Because I mean, like, when did Crash Team Racing come out? The remaster.
Last September.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's been long enough that people have forgotten. Like, people have kind of moved on from it. This is just enough to keep the name in people's minds. Like, I know Crash is a classic character at this point, but like, I don't care about Crash Bandicoot at all. So if they just have something coming out in the news, even if it's this, they could have a bigger announcement coming at E3, like a new remaster, a new game coming out, but they're just not ready to announce it yet.
Yeah, because that was kind of like the whole Diablo thing again. It's like Diablo Immortal, but then the next thing they're announcing Diablo 4 alongside it, so it could be a similar thing.
So
Okay. So the next question, there was a kind of a feeling in the middle, just as a question for possibilities of the future of this podcast. Will we be doing an episode on FF7 Remake?
I would want to. It is my most anticipated game of the year. I know I said that RE3 is my game of the year, and that's kind of more based off the fact that RE2 was my game of the year last year. I played it more than any other game. I put a lot of time into it, and I got really like attached to that game. But the game I've been waiting for the longest time is RE7 Remake, and I actually had a bet on with
RE7
another
remake.
RE7 remake.
or Final Fantasy 7 Remake. God damn it, I'm already in the head.
Don't get Reeves excited.
So yeah, I actually had a bet on with another content creator called the Alpha Fox that Final Fantasy 7 Remake would happen. He was under the impression it would never happen, and he actually owes me a pizza. So I get to have a free pizza, sit back and play Final Fantasy 7 Remake, chill out, and I just can't wait for it. I would like to do a podcast, and I would like to get in depth with it and talk about some of the things that have been leaked or discussed and stuff like that. It would just be a thing of we'll have to just book a show for it. With the future of the podcast, we're still working on a schedule as to whether we'll do it like bi-weekly or monthly, or kind of base it around bigger events and games that are coming out that we're really passionate about. Yeah, that seems to be the future of us. We will let you know when we know, kind of thing, when it comes to the podcast. But there will be more. We have more sections and stuff that will be involved in the podcast as well. So we might not just have a podcast where it's like today, where it's a structure and it has, a main story thing. We could have a section where it could be community driven. It could be a little bit of a show that we want to put on, or a subject that we want to talk about. I can see the chat. And I can see that Marmon asked me what's going to be on the pizza, and Alan will not leave me alone until I answer him. So what would be on the pizza would be chicken and doner meat, because A1.
Oh yes.
What is
Yeah.
that?
Now you're talking. Now you're chicken, regular chicken or chicken tikka?
No, you don't want to mess up with the doner meat, so you keep it regular, but you get a sauce for dipping.
Oh, it's a kebab style thing.
Okay, right.
So next question, Malafi.
Right. So, okay. So this next question is actually from myself to get opinions from ye going back to Resident Evil 3. So Resident Evil 2 Remake removed spiders from the original. So if you had to pick an enemy that you want removed from the 3 remake and an enemy that you definitely want to stay, what would they be for each one of you?
I wouldn't want the graveyard worm thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a very it's completely off story and stuff. I don't feel like it even fits in that game quite well. The Gravedigger. I actually that actual section of the game, I wouldn't be like unhappy if it disappeared.
Yeah, I'm not really big on that section either. Like I hate that part, but I I guess if it was like any other animal that was huge during that time, it would be better. But it's just like a giant worm.
Mm.
I would have rather fought another giant snake again than fight that giant worm.
Yes. Yeah.
But
I don't
definitely
know.
keep in the derpy looking hunters.
Yes.
I want them to look derpy. I don't want them to look realistic or cool. I want them to look derpy
no
and have like
scariness at all to them. Like just
You mean
clean
the
color, like
Y
fur.
gammas? Is it?
yeah, the ones that kind of look like they're it looks like if their whole body was just Kermit the Frog's face with arms and legs.
Yeah.
I like those where they don't really have an expression like the ones in one. They just look derpy. I want that.
I hope they keep in it with the brain sucker things. I hope they keep them in.
Are those the ones in the final area?
No, they're quite early on. Remember, you could actually shoot a box to drop down on one of them, and when they grab you, they suck your face.
They kind of look like Chimera a little bit. Like
Yeah.
They look like a cross between a chimera and a licker, I guess, is the best
Okay.
way.
I never knew their
They
name.
run around and they can
Face
go all.
suckers. Just I know that just reminds me of Alien.
Yeah. But I'd like them to keep them, and I think they could be quite
Nice.
Any more questions?
So we had a question from Chris. When are we getting a new Parappa the Rapper?
Oh man, I would love a new Parappa the Rapper. That game is phenomenal, and it really brings up the child in me. In fairness, like if I was to do a stream of that, I'd probably be like this the whole time, like, oh my god, I love it. Everything about that game is brilliant. The songs, the beat, like, and the beats.
Remember Parappa the Rapper 2?
Huh?
Remember Parappa the Rapper 2?
We don't talk about.
Most people didn't like that one.
we have to talk
about that one then.
So we have another question from Flame Luca as well. Do you think Respawn and EA did a good job developing Jedi Fallen Order since EA doesn't do single player? In regards to the fact that we were talking about EA earlier.
I think Jedi Fallen Order was really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
I haven't actually played Jedi Fallen Order. From what I've heard, the game itself it flows well, it plays well, it's a good game. But I've heard it's very short, which just sounds like another EA thing for them to come up short.
Yeah, I heard like the ending is in one of the trailers, and most people like once you get to that part, you think it's gonna be a big pivotal, like just like another story beat. It's the end of the game.
Yeah. It has this kind of. It did have this kind of thing where it creates the illusion of being massive, but when you actually play it, it's not really. So yeah, I would agree with it being on the shorter side, but it's not. It's an okay length. It's an okay length. It's not like super short or anything, but I would have liked to have gone on a little bit longer.
But for it to be in that kind of Soulsborne category where there's so much, you have to use the whole open world and go back and forth and stuff. It feels like you're kind of stuck on a just a linear story as well. It kind of feels more like a Devil May Cry game per se.
See, that's probably what the problem is for some people. It was compared to Souls a lot, like Star Wars meets Dark Souls. So I think a lot of people went into expecting it to be much longer than it was, when obviously that wasn't what was intended from.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right, so we have one or two quick fire questions here as well. We already had Merman's one of what was on the pizza. That was already answered by popular demand. From Syndicate, the budget is after being handed over to you. You've been given the blueprint to do whatever you want. What past game would you remake?
Ooh, Nightmare Creatures.
Oh, that's a good choice.
I'd pick Jet Set Radio Future.
Oh, what a game!
Like just give it some tighter controls and like even nicer looking on an HD like setup.
Yeah. Spray painting everywhere. Great game.
Can I be really boring and say Silent Hill?
Yeah, you can be boring and do that.
I can agree with it.
I'll be very bored and say that. No, I would just like to see how with today's technology they could make that scary.
I'd like to change mine to Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver.
Ooh.
I still need to play that. It's been on my short list for a while. Is it a terrible game or is it like?
Oh, it's actually very, very.
Then I'll have to wait a while to play it.
Yeah. You can play the second one, or Shadow Man. You can play Shadow Man. That's terrible.
I have Shadow Man. I tried playing it. I'm just like, what am I doing? It's because it doesn't have analog control.
And your final question, is it, Malafi?
So there's two actually. One question from Alan, which is, what would you guys think of an Ape Escape remake with the proper original analog controls?
I'd love it. I would
Never
love
played it.
Ape Escape is fantastic. It was completely revolutionary for its time, especially as a PS1 game. It actually brought in the demand for for analog controllers on the PlayStation 1. Yeah, honestly, I think if it was to be remade and put out with some new dynamics, so say if they include something new on the PS5 controller and they put it there, and then you have to use that new thing, it would be a game that I'd love to see be brought back. I know for a fact that neither of my neither Weirdo or Kyo have actually played Ape Escape, so we're gonna have to make sure that Kyo does it live some night.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrible game. I'll have to play it one day.
So there's one or two other questions just after coming in. We'll try to get them out quickly here. God of War won the Game of the Year in 2018. Do you guys agree with that decision?
Guess what?
You haven't played it?
I haven't played it yet.
Neither
No,
have
the only
I.
God of War game I've played is God of War 3, and I loved it. And I've always wanted to get around to playing God of War, so I'll definitely pick that up and do it at some.
On the basis that I didn't play it, no, it doesn't deserve it.
Fair enough.
I played it for about 3 hours. It seemed fine, but like it's a hack and it didn't feel. It felt like a lot of other games I'd already played. It wasn't bad, but like it wasn't unique or anything.
It didn't show you anything new.
No, like the older God of Wars were like hack and slash button mash, like almost Dynasty Warriors. Like I didn't expect that or anything. It's just like the new one was like I feel like the identity was kind of like ripped away, and you could have told me
it was way
any
more
other
story driven. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last question from chat is: do you think the controls that they're going to be using for RE3 in the remake are going to push the game more towards the RE6 style?
I think it'll be closer to like a tighter controlled RE Revelations 2.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Yeah.
Like seeing that exact same dodge animation in the trailer from RE2 or like Rev 2, it's probably going to be like RE2 Remake meets Revelations 2, but I don't think it'll have as much movement as 6. 6 had like way too much movement almost.
I mean, you got to remember that between the original RE2 and RE3 was a bit more on the action side. It did incorporate a bit more action, so I'm fine with them doing that as long as it doesn't go full on, RE5, RE6 action. I don't mind them, having that bit more of an action feel to it.
I kind of hoping they stick with what, just it's only for my own personal benefit. They stick to what the RE2 remake is and just maybe tweak it a little bit so that like it has some of those RE6 elements, like obviously you were able to dive on the ground and stuff. Obviously because knife strats. Has anyone ever seen me play RE6? Knife strats. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. So for me, I want to see that kind of the RE2 engine, like that quick turn engine and stuff like that I'm familiar with from speedrunning and stuff like that. And maybe just evolve it a little bit to where it includes the new kind of assets and stuff, but not overdo it so much that you have too much going on. And that would be me for when it comes to Resident Evil 3 remake.
Perfect. So one thing I just want to quickly do, kind of throw you guys on the spot for a second. This will be the last that you're going to hear from me. I'm just going to say to everyone in the chat there, no, thank you so much for coming along and everything like that. We're going to be handing it over to Moroxide in a second to be doing all the closing points. But before we get to that, okay, not me. Sorry. We will go to Mr. Weirdo first.
Oh, great.
What do you have planned for this week?
This week, I'm going to be starting Final Fantasy VII Blind. Go with that.
Cool. And is there anything else you're expecting to be doing on your stream?
Well, yeah, I'll be doing RE. No, I won't. I'll be doing Final Fantasy 7 on stream, most likely Monday, Wednesday. Friday, I'm thinking about booting up the gun game mod for Dark Souls. And I'll be doing more for like the Dark Souls lore playthrough I've got going on YouTube and Persona 5 and stuff like that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, David. Let's swap over to Mr. Kyoryu Hunter. What's your plan for this week?
I'm going to attempt to maybe finish Extermination, even though I absolutely hated that.
Oh my god, that
segment.
looks like a fucking chore.
It felt awful in the final boss because none of the guides we found explained how the behavior of the enemy works, and the one that did was wrong. So I might attempt to finish it. If not, we're going to move on to Apocalypse starring Bruce Willis on PS1, which looks like trash, and I can't wait to play it.
So bad.
Played that back in the day. It's brilliant.
And I'm hoping to finish out the week. I've been wanting to play Killer 7 forever again, and I kind of want to try and pull it up sometime soon because it's just weird enough, but it's not bad. So I just don't want people to think it's a bad game. It's just weird.
Perfect. And I'm going to hand it over to the man himself.
Before we get around to me, switch that back around to you and tell the people what you've got going on.
Well,
you just had to do it, didn't you? You just had to do it. I suppose I'm after unlocking a bunch of unlimited ammos and stuff in various Resident Evil games this week. There's a couple of community requested games going to be happening this week as well. We're going to try a VR stream. There's a couple of different things that could be happening. But you know me, I'm casual with everything that I do. It's just if I have an inkling for something, I'll do it. You know.
And now we're back to me, I suppose. So I'm actually finally working on putting a schedule for a weekly schedule into place. I know it has taken me 2 years.
Oh wow!
So we're going to be looking at pro clubs for Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Get the community in on it, play some games, win some games, and stuff like that. I'm going to be putting a lot more time into my Resident Evil. I want to get that under an hour, and I want to get all the other runs started as well. And we actually have something going on tonight. So myself, Malanfi, Little Marman, Absolute Filth, and Aniguel, I think that's everybody, are doing Deceit tonight. And we will all be streaming it off of our own platforms and stuff like that. And that should be good fun. I've never played it. It definitely is something that, Little Marman's terrible when it comes to horror stuff. It'll be very entertaining, and it'll have that real, teamwork feel to it. And we'll find out who's the good liar, I suppose. But yeah, guys, that's about it from us. So I'll just let the guys do their shout-outs. I'll start for myself, I suppose, and I'll wrap it up at the end. I'm Maroxide, guys, at Team Redirect. You can find me on twitch.tv/Maroxide and on Twitter at Maroxide as well. I'll put y'all over to the other guys. We'll start with Mr. The Weirdo.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Weirdo. You can find me at twitch.tv/Mr. Weirdo and at Mr. Weirdo on Twitter. Yeah, if you like your horror variety stuff, then hopefully you'll find something you enjoy.
And then on to Kyo.
You can find me out here on Twitch. I'm Kyoryu Hunter. I'm also on YouTube, Kyoryu Hunter, where I have my own podcast as well. And then I also am on Twitter at Kokusai Kyoryu. You probably can't spell it, and I really need to solve that. But I play old games, horror games, and terrible games, and sometimes all three of those combined.
Damn right. Yeah, so we're back to me. Guys, make sure you check out Malanfi as well, who has been our editor and sticking with us all day to kind of get this up and going. We've actually put a lot of work into getting this up for you guys, and just genuinely having the crack. And we hope you enjoyed yourselves, first of all. Make sure to check us out make sure you follow our channel first of all, and then check us out on Twitter at the Team Redirect. And if we can get someone to put our community server, Discord server, in the chat as well, hop in there, guys. We do a lot of stuff with the community. We're trying to help promote the community as much as we promote ourselves. We've had an absolute blast, guys. We've been Team Redirect. This has been our first ever podcast. It has taken nearly 6 months to get this together, but we'll be back very soon, maybe in the next 2 weeks or so. We just have to work out what we want to do. And yeah, from all of us here, thank you all for tuning in, guys, and have a good day. And peace.
See you.
Take it easy, guys. Thank you.